Hi, welcome to Paranormal Kativity. I want to tell you about something that when I first discovered it, it blew my mind, and I'm incredibly fascinated by it. I want to witness it in real life, and that topic would be materialization. Materialization is a form of mediumship where the medium can actually produce something tangible. The most basic form of materialization would probably be levitation, where you actually can witness something lifting off of the ground by its own accord. But it gets way better than just levitation. I'm sure if you've watched Ghostbusters, you've heard of ectoplasm, but it's been around a whole lot longer than when Ghostbusters came around. The term was actually coined in 1894, but there are reports as early as the 1700s where people have been quoted as to saying that a kind of vapor was streaming from the body. Ectoplasm can come from any orifice of the body, including the pores, and it can form into an apparition. Like, if you're producing ectoplasm, it can take the shape of an actual ghost or being right there with you. Or it can just be parts of that being. It could be a face or a hand or an arm. Whenever this is produced, the medium goes into a trance state, and normally it's said that they feel a sensation of like cobwebs or threads being pulled away from their body. Now, this has been photographed, but it's also been faked in a whole lot of ways. I've heard of these being faked with cheesecloth being the most common way to fake it, and seemingly the most similar to what ectoplasm actually photographs like. But other types of gauze and even like egg whites and weird stuff have been used to try and duplicate this in photographs. But some of the people who've actually been photographed doing ectoplasm that's supposedly real are just fantastic. The next form of materialization that it's my favorite form of materialization, and I would I would love to check out in real life, would be apports. Apports come from the French word apporter, which means to bring. So this is whenever something is brought into the seance room by a spirit. These objects and items are teleported completely out of thin air and are supposedly hot to the touch whenever you actually come in contact with them. They can appear right in the middle of a table, they can appear in your hands, or they can appear in a trumpet. Now, this is not like a normal musical instrument trumpet. This is a specific trumpet used for mediumship, which I'm going to be going into further detail in a moment. But some of these objects, if they do come out of a trumpet, are bigger than the end of the trumpet that it's coming out of, either the small end or the big end. Now, these can be anything that gets apported into the seance room. Could be an object, it could be living, it could be dead. There's stories of somebody having a dead rat apport into the seance room, but the best story I have ever heard about apports would be this one. There were two mediums named Charles Williams and Frank Horn. They were sitting around and getting ready to start their session, and the sitters in the seance start making jokes that they should apport another medium who's rather famous and lives relatively nearby. Her name is Agnes Guppy, and they're all having a really big laugh because this woman is a pretty good sized woman that they're wanting to just have appear out of thin air. So all of the sitters are thinking this is a hilarious joke, but the two mediums start actually trying to focus on apporting her there. Pretty soon, they hear a thump in the dimly lit room on the top of the table, and there's Agnes Guppy in her nightgown, holding a pen with fresh ink on the end of it, looking around, terrified, not understanding what just happened. Now, upon research, every person that was there accounted for in the seance room attests to the fact that she was not there, and that there was no possible way she could have got by anybody who was sitting in that circle to get on top of the table. Like, it just could not happen. And then from her end, she had servants who had literally moments before checked on her, or one servant was actually in the room with her, looked down, looked up, and she was gone. Now, other reports have come into rooms that are just fascinating, like bones, ancient artifacts. There was a story about a seance in England, I believe, where they had a gold-encrusted scarab from Egypt apported to the room. There's been sands from other places, seawater dripping all over an object. Just amazing things that I would be so dumbfounded if I actually got to witness in real life. Now, apports are the next topic of materialization, but really it should probably be classified as dematerialization because an apport is the opposite of an apport, so that is where something is taken away from the seance room. It would usually be like a personal object that someone had on them. It'd either appear at their home later on, in the room next to them, or in a few cases it just disappeared and was never found again. Now we're back to trumpets. So what a trumpet looks like in this mediumship sense is it's collapsible and usually made out of either cardboard or aluminum, and it's just very much like just a cone that's tapered on one end and still open on both ends. Now a trumpet is used for apports, where it would just be left in the center of a room and something would just tip out of either end of it. The other way that it is used is just amazing. Either it's left in the center of the room or it's left on a table. It's somewhere away from everybody. The medium is usually the closest one to it, and they start producing an ectoplasm-like substance, but usually with the trumpet present, it's not visible to people. But what they're doing is they're actually trying to manifest the trumpet to have inside of it basically like a ghost throat and everything that you would need to actually speak, like vocal cords, so that whenever air passes through the trumpet, it makes the voice of a ghost. Now, sometimes in these sessions with the trumpet, they would paint the trumpet like a really bright color, so that way whenever the light was dimmed in the seance room, it would still be visible, and you'd either see it just in the middle of the room not moving. Some people saw it levitating. There were instances of it levitating and people throwing on the lights to check out what was going on, and everybody saw it still a couple inches above the surface, and then it would just gently sit down. And whenever they're in this session, voices just emanate from the trumpet. They just come out. Or in some instances, people have seen lights come out of it as well. Now, I will tell you that I have gone to a trumpet session, and at least the area that I live in, they do not do this version of trumpet seances. What they do is totally different and honestly disappointing. When I was going into it with these expectations, I heard trumpet seance and I was like, oh my god, I actually get to witness this, let's go. And what they did instead was the medium would hold the trumpet to their mouth and a different voice would come out, but honestly it sounded like really bad ventriloquist act. It was like, it was weird, and it wasn't as cool as what I just described. So just so you are aware, some groups do not view trumpet mediumship in that exact way, but that was the way that I learned about it, and honestly the coolest way to do it. So that's the way I decided to share with you guys. That's the version that I long to see someday. The last form of materialization happens within a cabinet. And when I say cabinet, it could be a cabinet like you picture in a home, but usually it's just like a wooden box structure, sometimes with all 6 sides, sometimes with only 5 where it had one side open. It could also just be the corner of a room curtained off. It's just an area that's enclosed by itself away from everyone else. And what happens with the cabinet is the medium focuses their energy into manifesting something within the cabinet. Now this can be an apport, it can be an object, it could be voices, it could be singing, it could be music. It could also be automatic writing or automatic painting, where they just leave the art supplies and the canvas in there and will the spirits to make something there, and then when they open it, there's actual physical writing or art right there for you to actually see. Materializations, like I've just described to you guys in this video, are like the core essence of the unexplained that I really want to witness. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really happy you guys tune into my videos. Do you guys think that any of this stuff is actually real or legit or possible? Even if it's impossible, I really want it to be real. I love you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.